All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Live Button Podcast. I am joined by my co-host, Dad the Gamer, and we have a very special guest for you. You may have seen him all over TikTok. He's on YouTube as well. We are rocking with fantastic tech this evening, and this is going to be a good episode. We got a lot of really cool things to talk about because Fantastic Tech, aka Liam, is actually not a streamer, and we have had nothing but streamers on this podcast. So this is going to be a very interesting time for you guys to listen or watch as somebody explains how to be very successful, in my opinion, outside of Twitch, outside of the whole streaming space. So Liam, it's great to see you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the Live Button Podcast. I want to ask you first and foremost, what's the story? There's always an origin. There's always something that started your journey to get from point A to where you are currently now. Like, what, have you always been into videography? Have you always kind of done YouTube? Was TikTok something that was kind of a spur of the moment thing that kind of took off like wildfire? Like, what was it for you?
I want to, sorry, real quick. I want to give Liam the proper entrance here because a lot of our creators, I mean, like me, they don't like to brag, right? So I'm going to brag for Liam. Liam is approaching 100,000 followers on TikTok. No big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal, right? Yeah, kind of a big deal. If you guys didn't catch the sarcasm there, right? 2.27 thousand subscribers on YouTube. So he might know a thing or two of content creation. So for those out there that think that you can, you have to stream to make it to content creation, I think you can hear from Liam here. You don't. You can do what you are passionate about and kind of show the world your skills without actually doing live streaming.
Oh, dang, that was an intro. Well,
Hey.
First off, what's up, y'all? Appreciate having me on.
Man.
Good
to see you.
Likewise. Wow. Let's see. First and foremost, so I guess, there wasn't anything necessarily like specific about TikTok. I guess if there was something, it was my wife getting TikTok. So
Likewise.
Right. So we can all thank our wives for any kind of
110%.
content career. So at least that's my story. But yeah, so in terms of like videography and stuff, so I mean, like middle school was kind of when I started messing around with like a camera and editing and stuff like that. So I've been doing video for a long time. And it's been, TikTok's nature of like, does polish work? Does polish not? I've kind of gone back and forth.
Sure.
Where I use a nice camera, nice stuff, or not. And I'm kind of writing right now. My season of content is finally, after like 2 and a bit years, I'm like, okay, I feel like this is finally the videos I like to make, want to make, and enough of them do well to where I can say like, okay, the execution works with the platform, works with me. But yeah, so I've been doing videos for a long time. Did videos in like high school with the video production class, and then got roped in with doing like videos kind of for the school with like another type class. Went to college for video, but at like an engineering school. So that didn't necessarily go well. I dropped out after like a year and a half because I was like kind of doing some freelancing stuff like in the summers and whatnot. And it was not enough like concrete learning. It's kind of the trope about like film school is that like it's all theory and then you get to work afterwards.
Yeah.
But like, and YouTube's great. Cameras are relatively cheap-ish. And so it didn't feel like it was necessarily enough learning to stick with it. And I was like, I could always go back. And for like up until last year, I was like, great decision. Now I kind of regret that, honestly, because I realized that like you don't really get to meet a lot of people unless you're like in school or you work like at a office and stuff. And so I have a remote job, and so I don't really meet a lot of people these days. Anyway, that's a long tangent. But to get that into TikTok, I just did freelance video for a long time. Huge into like the kind of video game inspired, the Transformers movies by Michael Bay, the big blockbuster action. That's like, as popcorn candy junk food movies as those are, like that's what I like. I just saw Top Gun Maverick over the weekend.
Oh my god,
4 times,
incredible
dude.
movie!
Oh my gosh.
Incredible movie.
It's the best movie I've ever seen in my life, dude.
Right?
Oh,
so that's like basis of my kind of like, okay, cool, I'm inspired. Now let me go do something with it. So and then in terms of TikTok and stuff, like so my wife got on TikTok like fall-ish of 2019, I want to say.
Okay.
And at that point, obviously, very different platform, was like just out of Musical.ly and like the merger, the buyout. So it was a lot of still like dancing stuff. I don't even know what, I can't even remember what it was
Yeah,
at
it was
that
like
point.
a
Very
lot of
different time.
trends and,
This is the dark
Yeah.
ages
dancing,
of TikTok,
singing, the
dude. This is
dark
so-
ages.
Right, exactly. And so then I was kind of like an observer of, and I never kind of jumped on. And then I think like early 2020, I got like my own just personal account and started browsing. I don't even know what like some of the first stuff that I kind of liked to my For You page. And then started like Twitch stuff was in there, and talk
Mhm.
about the dark ages of TikTok. 2020 Twitch talk was
Yeah.
Oh
very
yeah.
rough.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is okay, never mind, not for me. So like, oh, that's what like tech is, and that's what like streaming is, never mind. But then I started seeing some, some of the people who are huge today, like, Carter's early videos, Lowe's videos,
Mhm.
and some people who were just doing like straight tech. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, so there's a scene for this. All right, cool. So I started making videos on the platform, very bad videos. I made like maybe 15 over the entirety of like 2020. And at the end of 2020, like November-ish, one caught where I can't even, I was talking about some people have giant L desks and they're all empty. And
Yeah.
like what's up with that? And then that one kind of caught traction. So then I was like, oh, cool. So then kept with it a little bit. And then, since then, the scene's gotten a lot bigger. Like it's a proper content,
Sure.
space.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then yeah, just try to figure out, the biggest thing over the last 2 and a bit years is just trying to figure out what I wanted to, like, kind of what I wanted to do and what worked. And I've gone from like editing tips and production tips, and then that was kind of doing well, so I kept with it even though I didn't really like it, to like
Mhm.
finally over the last like 2 years, like worked my way entirely around to just like, okay, gaming hardware, like gaming peripherals, games themselves, as well as like fancy production stuff to make the videos about tech.
Yeah,
So
dude, you mentioned so many things that I want to talk about. And the first of which is you mentioned that you made a bunch of videos and then you said not good videos, by the way.
right.
That's very, very important for people to
Yeah.
understand. Like, what people typically see is the end game content. They see the
Yep.
stuff that's like been super fun. And obviously, like if you look at your page now, Liam, all of your stuff is amazing looking. It's got the cinematography, the lighting is phenomenal, the setup looks dope.
Thank you.
But you weren't always there. And I think that's what's super, super important is people like are afraid to put out their few videos. Like I've had a lot of questions on my TikToks about YouTube and stuff.
Hmm.
And the majority of people are like, I don't know what to do, or like, I what if my videos are bad? And I'm like, yes, they will be, and that's good,
100%.
and that's
Right.
normal, and that's how you learn and progress through the sea of content creation, so to speak. Like the videos that I put out on my TikTok back in September 2020 is when I started TikTok. So the very first videos I put out then, compared to the videos that I'm putting out now,
Hmm.
it is entirely different. The subject matter is relatively the same, and I resonated with what you were saying. With you do some stuff that works, but you're not a huge fan of it, and then you kind of
Right.
try to go back to something else that you really like it, but it doesn't do as well. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of stuck in a tug of war. But all that to say, like the videos that I put out at the very beginning was literally my phone propped up against my PC, and I was talking into my phone like this, just looking at it, giving Twitch
Yeah.
tips, dude. Like, and now it's like I'm standing up. I have a lot better backgrounds behind me. Like I have captions and transitions and all that kind of stuff because you learn how to do it over time. Like
Totally.
you learn how to morph your content into something that suits you and fits you. And like you said, like you've finally after, and it took you 2 years,
Hmm.
got to a vein of content that you want to be in and that you enjoy being in, but it's also doing well. And I think if you can
Yeah.
get to that specific kind of cocktail of content creation where it kind of hits all those marks, you can run with it and you're just gonna crush.
Yeah, it's a very, TikTok especially is a very, I mean, probably like anything, is a very traction heavy platform where you can go both ways of like video after video is just awesome. And
Yes.
back when like video replies sorted to the top of TikTok comments, which is, I don't know why that's missing now, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh just like banger after banger wins, or like it's month 3 and nothing's catching what's
Mhm.
going on, identity crisis, existential worries.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, it's a very, it takes a long time, at least I mean, in my experience, I've there's so many accounts that I'm just like, this person is amazing at what they're doing. Wow, I wish I could have been that fast at getting to like such a good video. And maybe they did stuff like off platform or like elsewhere that when they came to TikTok, they were like, oh, I know what I'm doing
Yeah,
now.
they
Like
learned.
both in just the technical, but also them as like the subject matter. Cause I did freelance for such a long time, and I feel like I've got an ability to like, okay, what's your business? I can tell a story in that. Here's your like the client videos.
Sure.
But if I'm the subject, I had so long to get to the point where that was good, and I was like, oh, cool, that worked. And for 2 years, I go back even like 4 months ago, 5 months ago, that I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
So
you talked about the we've had this discussion multiple times on this podcast, but a lot of your content is very it's high quality, right? High
Thank you.
production, the lighting's good, right? And then you kind of talked about maybe doing some content with just your cell phone, right? The more authentic
Yeah.
content, right? What do you enjoy doing, and do you see a view difference between your high quality production videos versus you're busting out a cell phone and this is the product, this is what it is, and you post it?
I mean, 100%. I think, like Pastor, like you were saying, I think 2 years ago, the platform was very much so, aside from some exceptions, was like, nice camera, swipe. This is either an ad or this is
Yeah.
something bad. And that has completely changed. I mean, everybody, I think, in like the over 100K tech space,
Sure.
uh, is aside from like a few using nice cameras and nice audio, and they're kind of like cultivating an edit and then putting it out.
Yeah.
And whether that was even though that was happening over the last 2 years, the tech space is like, cool, this is good, we like this now, actually, versus maybe they didn't in the past. So that's great, because I like making things look good, sound good, all that.
Yeah.
I'm not also good with like filming myself. I feel like when I'm holding my phone and I have to use like an external mic because my phone mic is like broken, so it's such a weird artificial process that
Sure.
even if I'm talking about something I'm naturally excited about, there's just some weird blocker there, and terrible. So any phone video, even I did like a couple last week just because I was kind of busy that day, and those still go back to like my tone and my on camera presence like 6 months ago, which was I don't like, and it's just for some reason I couldn't get over. And so when I can be hands off, if my camera's over there and my mic, and I can just kind of sit down and go bleh and be passionate about that
Yeah.
works well. And I think to some extent people like high quality stuff more so. So they're like, oh, cool, here's someone else that does production stuff. But I think it's also just even though um Dad, like you said, the phone videos were more organic. I think for some people, at least I feel like for me, I can be that organic because of everything else.
Sure.
High quality. I'm less organic with my phone. So I think it comes down to that more than necessarily phone or not phone. And then same thing with like traction on platform. If you build your audience around like phone videos, and then all of a sudden, what's this camera doing? That's
Sure.
weird. But if it's the opposite, like if you guys know Parker Burton on TikTok, who does a lot of smartphone content, every single video is with his nice camera. And so when he occasionally does phone videos or from his phone, if he's like testing a camera or something like that, it's almost like a brand pillar.
Yeah.
And some people use it, some people don't. And I like to use it.
I think in the tech space, it obviously, I think it benefits having high quality videos, right? Because it shows like, hey, you know what? Like he has a high quality video. It's proven that he knows what, this person's talking about. So, your YouTube channel, I'm kind of scrolling through right now, but you have a lot of videos on tech stuff. And clearly you know what you're talking about with it. I am somebody, I give a lot of streaming advice, streaming tips, that sort of thing, mainly on like just content creation as a whole. But, I've given some advice on hardware stuff, but something I stay away from, and I think there's a couple creators who got called out for this, but something that I've stayed away from is I don't give advice on a couple things: cameras, lighting, and audio. Because I just those are three things that I know that I am
Trinity,
not.
bro.
other than saying like this is my mic and these are the settings, like I'm not gonna sit there and like give advice on audio settings, right? Because I don't know audio settings, right? Same thing with camera. Like other than I know it's 1080p and it shoots, what I want. Like I don't know that, right? And then same with Elgato lights. But I think a lot of people that get into the tech advice space, they think they have to just know everything. But you know, it becomes this persona, and it's easy for people to call out, you know, bullshit, right? They're gonna see right through and say, this person, they don't really know what they're talking about, right? For me, I know what I'm talking about in a lot of things, but my weakness are those three things. That's why I stay away from advice on that. So props to you, man. I mean, once again, like if you guys, we're not even close to the end of the episode, but I go look at his channel, go follow his channel. Because if you're a streamer, you're going to enjoy his content. Because it talks a lot about, you know, obviously streaming hardware and the various things. But once again, I mean, I think you're going to, as a streamer and a content creator, everybody loves to talk about their setup. But I love to talk about my setup. But listen, I know my limits on talking about my setup.
Unrealistic. It is unattainable for any normal human being.
I know the
world,
limits of talking about my setup. Like my setup is what it is because I went to YouTube and I found people like Liam, and I was like, help me figure out how to set up my camera. Help me set up my audio, my lighting. Right. That's how I've gotten here.
Sure.
Now, Liam, let me ask you a question, dude. So I actually ran into this problem recently. And dad has talked about this problem as well, because when the quality of TikTok becomes more than the amount of time that you can put in it to have a quality TikTok going up every single day, what is the decision there? How many times a day do you post in terms of, because all of your stuff is high quality cinematography grade stuff. So is that hey, I post every other day? Is that an everyday thing? Do you batch like a ton of crap together and then just put it all out over the week?
Yeah, so that's changed along with kind of as I've adopted the style of content, as I think gotten better. I certainly sometimes, obviously, I feel like we sit down and go video time and brain dump and nothing comes together. And also existential crisis and why am I doing what I'm trying to do? I've done like 3 videos a day for like a couple months, and that's just even like with the phone, never with like a nice setup or anything like that.
3 a day is a lot. I
3
try
is
to
a
do
lot.
that.
It's so much. I don't know how Carter PCs. I'm sure you both are familiar with him. I don't know how he does it. Man's a wizard. And
probably a team of people. Probably a team of people
I don't
around
think so.
him. Like,
no,
I mean, I know he has like a managerial team, but in terms of a content team on TikTok, at least, I think
maybe like an editor.
No.
Wow.
He said that he has somebody who posts his
impressive.
TikToks elsewhere, but I think for TikTok, it's all him. So he's just a wizard.
Dude, what a monster, dude.
Right. So, yeah, I know. And some other people have tried it as well. I've never gotten to 4 a day, tried 3 a day. It's been maybe like a couple weeks, but it always felt like, you had to sacrifice some level of quality to get out the quantity. And I think to like what you were talking about at the very beginning, where, it's important to make bad videos to then get to, or be okay with making bad videos to then get to the point where you can be good. Sure. I think that is a huge and like a valuable thing to be okay with, unless you feel like you know what you're doing. And that's, I mean, maybe like an ego check, but like, no, I want to make X video, and then you have to be okay with posting less. So, so yeah, I only post right now 4 times a week. Maybe.
Man, how dare you not post at least once a day,
listen,
dude? What are you doing?
The TikTok experts out there talk about it. You got to post 2 to 3 times a day to grow your damn audience, okay?
Exactly.
No, I'm we've talked about it a lot, but Pastor and I, we do a lot of pre-recorded content using our cameras, and it just it hinders our ability to be able to produce more content. That's why, for me, I post maybe for those videos, I'll post 2 to 3 times a week. And then, obviously I'll do video replies and stuff like that, kind of fills in the space. But I know, like, me wanting to, record high quality videos, it hinders my ability to produce more content. But I'm okay with that because at this point, my audience appreciates, just like Liam was talking about, like, that's how I build my audience. They know my videos are recorded with the DSLR, my mic, right? If I just took my phone and just plopped it up and I post a video like that, they're going to be like, oh, what happened to this guy's camera? I'm going to swipe off of this, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like the visual appeal is almost like, oh, like the effort isn't as much, even though that's 100% effort for some people, it might not be for others. So yeah, like, a couple times a week, if the idea is enough and the like execution is of the quality that like your audience expects, or if you post less because it's like, okay, I'm making a conscious decision to now, if this isn't like a 10K video that I think, I'm not going to post it, because
Yeah.
then that doesn't kind of move the needle, and it's like still half an hour, 45 minutes to put together something that's maybe not going to do as well, but that's not necessarily valuable time. So that's kind of where I feel like I'm at a little bit right now, is
Mm,
like I'm very 1000% grateful for my numbers and my audience, and the fact that lots of this or all of this is because of that.
yeah.
I know I'm not done, so I'm okay with pulling back to try to like keep pushing the ceiling a little bit, and then I kind of go in seasons where I'm like, okay, a little bit like more posts, a little bit not as production, and then I kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, dude. And I've actually noticed too recently with my own personal TikTok is like I even moving spaces from like something as simple as like legitimate like having walls and like having a
Mhm.
place. Like I have people asking me like, why are you in an unfinished space? I was like, dude,
Does it
so why does it
matter?
matter? You know, like why does it matter? I don't understand. But like I've noticed for sure the videos that I edit and have a certain format for and like have the captions and all that kind of stuff and they look really, really cool.
Yeah.
Those videos do a lot better. And it goes back to what I think you were talking about earlier, which is curated content is becoming king in some
Mhm.
regard in certain niches on TikTok. Like there's still
100%.
always going to be the funny videos of just like people randomly getting recorded and something funny happens, or like, anything funny on TikTok is typically not recorded like we would record something of our own.
Sure.
But the actual curated content I found, at least for my own personal brand and what I'm doing, does a lot better than just holding up the phone and talking to the phone real quick and then
Mhm.
posting that.
Do you
And
find
I
that's the Twitch space in general? Because I feel like that's certainly changed, but I would like I know I don't stream, so I'm not necessarily in that
sure,
niche
sure.
content space at all. So where's that right now in terms
Um
of TikTok?
I think a lot of it is in the Twitch space because people and especially kids are getting dope setups sooner than we did.
Oh
So
my
like
gosh.
I'm sitting here at 34 years old and I have a really great setup that I'm looking at, but nobody else can really see. But
Right.
it's like all these kids on TikTok, you see all the curated content and everyone's got the DSLR camera and they're filming their super crazy setup and they're like 16 to 20 years old. And it's like,
Yeah.
what dude, when I was growing up, we had Windows 95 and like that's what we had. So it's like the whole
Colors.
yeah, yeah, we had Paint, it was
Yeah.
Minesweeper, it was great.
It was
But the
great.
whole thing, I think especially in the Twitch space, things are becoming more curated and becoming more professional looking as
Interesting.
people are getting into the space thinking they need certain things. Like there's a lot of
Sure.
streamers that think they need the DSLR camera, they need the latest piece of tech and all
Mhm.
this kind of stuff. And you have proven that you don't need to stream to get those things, which is I want to segue into this question too is you have mentioned that a lot of this has come from your TikTok audience and your numbers and your success that you've had on
All of it,
TikTok.
yeah.
And you've navigated, I'm assuming, brand deal after email after email to just accrue the things that you have to do the stuff that you are doing. Is there any special, I don't want to call it a special secret, but is there any formula that when somebody is reached out to by a brand that they can follow to really kind of seal the deal, to really make themselves marketable to that brand, not
Mhm.
just that brand gets what they want from that person. So if that question makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, brand deals are a huge can of worms, and
Yeah.
especially on TikTok for how, relatively speaking, but as it's absolutely still young of a platform it is, young of a demographic it is, that are, yeah, 16-year-olds with dope setups and like tray table with like a Walmart keyboard at 16. I mean, like it's
Yeah.
very different, and it's like that's super sick. Would have loved that. That's cool that that's so accessible to anyone who at any age kind of wants it.
Yeah.
It's there and ready. So super rad. In terms of brand deals though, if the one especially, because I waited probably until like 70K to reach out to a brand myself. I did only
Mhm.
waiting just because I felt like if the value's there, if my content's there, a brand's going to be there. Um,
That
and
makes sense.
then and then I was like, okay, there's a couple things that like I don't think this brand's on TikTok. Would love to try to work with them. And so Be Quiet being one of them, worked with them a couple different times, and they're not on TikTok. So that was one that was like it was advantageous to reach out. But in terms of if any brand is reaching out, there's always the gauge of like they reached out to you. They see that your channel has value. Your channel
Mhm.
does have value, regardless of if you even have necessarily a huge following or not. Like individuals bring individual perspectives, so that's good value.
Sure.
But in terms of working kind of with a brand, it's always like I always kind of base it around like, okay, do I actually need this thing? Do I not? Is this a long term relationship, or is this a
Kind of
couple
a
hundred
one-off
dollars,
deal.
yeah, for like a sponsored video, something like that. And that's always something that the individual has to weigh, whether it's like, you know, kind of any company in like the gaming space or like the production space is like, for me at least personally, like a long-term relationship. Like
Mhm.
would love to, um be able to hit up Aperture, for example, who my main light's from, and be like, hey, what's up, I want to do something different. Like, you want to work together, and like anything that you want to kind of
Yeah.
send me content, all that kind of stuff. And if I would be super stringent with like, oh, you want to send me stuff? Cool, that's gonna be $1,000 right at the beginning. That would not probably yield good results down the road. So that's kind of always what I think everyone has to weigh. It's much, and it's tough too, because there are brands should pay for what they typically don't. Collaboration type stuff where they're like, hey, we're gonna send you a light, like make a video on it and no strings attached. Like we just want to kind of be there. So then when like I reference my light, I say Aperture. That could have
Sure.
been another company had they send it. But that type of arrangement, um, I don't expect. I would never charge for that. It's the relationship that's more important versus like a quick buck for sure. Um, I ramble a
That
lot. Sorry,
No,
y'all.
you're
No, no, that
totally
was
good, and
good. That was good.
I'm literally sitting here like I'm trying to like write everything down. It's so crazy,
I'm
but
dying.
like
I'm over here dying. Don't worry about it.
what you mentioned was
Feel better.
very extraordinarily important, and I've never heard anybody say it this way before. But you mentioned that dealing with a brand is like a relationship, not a
It is.
transaction, and
Mhm.
it can be very
Sometimes it is.
transactional.
Yeah, sometimes
Y-
it is. But
Yeah,
if it's the right brand,
yeah,
it's a
like, and I
relationship.
think I think everyone in their mind has a dream brand that they would like to work with at some point. So if
Yeah.
you get that opportunity, it may not be advantageous of you to
Right.
slap a price tag right in their face the second they start
Mhm.
talking to you, right? Like
100%.
it may be advantageous for you to sit back, slow play it. Hey, you guys want to send me some stuff? Like that would be amazing. I would love that. Thank you so much. And start out with being
Mhm.
like super grateful and honored
Oh,
that they
yeah.
even selected you to do it rather than like, hey, guys, I would love for you to send me something, but I also have to charge you $400 for a TikTok because
Mhm.
that's just how things roll.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best foot to lead with, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I really liked what you mentioned that I mentioned by that because building relationships just in general with people is something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. I like talking to people, hanging out. And there's been a few brands that I've done some work with over the past year and a half. And it didn't start out with money. And I
Mhm.
still talk to them and I've still left it open-ended if they want to reach back out. And I, every single time I work with a brand, typically it's been a great, experience. And I've always left it with, hey guys, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
If you want to work again, I am wide open. Just let me know. And you
Yeah.
leave it back in their hands instead of throwing money. Like it, I agree with what you said a lot.
I want
I
to go
think it
back. I want to go back to what you were talking about and comparing. The Twitch space. I know you said obviously you don't live stream, but
right.
you were saying in terms of the high quality, high production content, how that kind of translates into the Twitch streaming world. For
Mhm.
for me, I play Warzone. I chop up my Warzone clips and I post them on TikTok. Right. I think that goes into. I think it does translate, and it's rather people edit their clips or they don't edit their clips. So I could spend. I mean, we've spent hours on talking about this, but you compare somebody who takes just a raw Twitch clip and they just dump it on social media, unedited, right? They're not going to get a many views, right? Versus me, I could spend an hour and a half editing a clip and I will get more views. And it's the same concept for my excuse me. It's the same concept for my my regular content. Yes, I only post 2 to 3 times a week, but I
Mhm.
know I will get probably 50 times more views on those videos than if I were to not post the content where it's high quality, high production, right?
Yeah.
Because it's happened. Like I sometimes I've been lazy a couple times and I'll just bust up my cell phone. And I don't get the same amount of views at all. I'm at
Mhm.
11,000 followers. And for me, if I post any video that's under 5,000 views, I don't want to say a failure, but it's kind of like, I could do better, right?
Sure.
So, it kind of, it goes hand in hand, I think. And for me, it's worth it for me to only post 2 to 3 times a day, because I know my views are going to be 50 times more that way than it is, me, busting up a cell phone. And it's the same with editing. I know if I spend an hour and a half editing a video from Warzone, that it's going to get 10 times more views if I didn't edit that same video and post it on, on TikTok or social media.
Yeah, 100%. Real fast before I forget it, around brand deals, I think that balancing transaction versus relationship is huge, and I think
Mhm.
also being, even if you do go relationship first, being vocal about like, hey, what's up? Obviously, this is a brand deal. I typically do pay. I'm not going to, and not like dangling as like a like I'm not going to charge you now, but just being honest with how you typically go about
Yeah.
brand deals. But like, I'm looking for like I would like to work together long term. Just want to make sure that's transparent, but like let's just work together long term. I think that's 100% too. Just over communication. These are people on the other end of emails, so that's also a be over communicative versus like I don't know, not.
Be like super shady and then like, by the way, you owe me $600 for the last few
Exactly.
transactions we've had. Like
Right.
that's just that's a weird thing. And but I think a lot of times, like when people do get contacted by brands, they freeze. They don't know what to do
It's
because
hard.
and so many people are telling them like, don't do stuff for free, don't do stuff for free, like all this stuff. You got to make money from it. Not necessarily. Like
Yep.
there's a lot to say, especially when you're first starting out with your first few brand deals. There's a lot to say about just getting your feet wet in the experience. Like just be present, figure out how things work. You're not going to score a ton of cash your first few brand deals, but what you are going to do is you're going to learn the ropes. You're going to figure out how to navigate a few things and maybe establish some long-term relationships for down the road, which
Mhm.
I think is super, super important because it's just it opens up the door. If that company comes out with new tech, you're one of the first people to come to their mind. They can send it to you. They know your audience is reliable. Like
Mhm.
it's just a good situation overall. Um,
100%.
Now, Liam, you you don't stream, but have you ever considered it? And I'm curious about this because typically what you see is you see content creators branch into streaming at some point. If they're all
Right.
content creating on YouTube, then they typically will just stream on YouTube. Sometimes they'll go to Twitch. Is that even a desire of yours? Is that something that you have time for? Is it like what are your stances on that currently?
Yeah. To bounce back and forth again, because I totally jumped off that your pitch. So I want to hit yours first, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to hit Twitch.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the quick editing and the like being okay with not posting because it's hard. If you have like normal cadence and you kind of pull back from, you're like, I've got half an hour, I could do something,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then it
Yeah.
doesn't do.
100%.
It's so tough, and there's like sometimes you can because it's like you have content that like moves the ceiling, reaches new people, and then you have content that kind of reinforces who's there. And so that's like that can be quick, that can be not that great, but the person whose comment you're answering is going to be, valuable, and you hope that it reaches other people too.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah.
like everyone has that kind of balance, but it's tough to try to pull back on a cadence and be okay with either not posting, being okay with the low views if you know that like okay that was like a great comment and maybe the video didn't do well, but like I mean 5K, like I'm stoked if I get more than 5K. That's a lot of people.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's a
um
lot for me.
is a lot. But yeah, balancing how often to post, what type of post, the quality, and then it's a mind juggle constantly. um And then feel free to interrupt on anything on there. But in terms of so moving to Twitch, past where you were just talking about. So I actually I don't stream now, but I used to. So first when I first got
Oh,
on TikTok,
okay.
I was I think it was one of those things that in terms of like working on content, it was something that I very rarely watched Twitch, but I watched
Mhm.
enough of it to be like, I feel like this is something I should do. And obviously, the
Mm.
crazy idea about like making money playing video games is awesome. Who wouldn't?
That's
Enticing.
what everybody wants, right?
Very. Oh my goodness, right? So I mean, even back in probably what 2016 or so, like I would stream and no content pushing into it, so went nowhere.
Sure.
And then with TikTok, would do kind of stream centric stuff. Tried to stream like twice a week. Kind of once the channel started getting traction, kind of stopped for a while because it's not my skill set at all. People who
Sure.
can hold an audience long term, be entertaining, be educational. If it's that type of channel, like Don't know how they do it. Don't know how y'all do it. It's entertaining. And it's not where I have skills at all. And so I think probably back in the beginning of last year was my like kind of last hurrah push that like the TikTok was big enough. I was making videos that I like to make. Some of them were stream centric, that I started like a Tuesday, Thursday stream schedule for like a couple hours in the afternoon, and stuck with that for like 3 months. Like didn't miss a day, and I was like, cool, sick, like really happy about that. Like views were not like great, maybe like an average of like 6 or 7 people, but that's
Sure.
like a big conversation, so it was like a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And like some of those people are normal in my comment sections or like Discord and stuff like that. So so it was cool, but I very quickly realized that like, okay, if I'm playing a game, if it's like a story game, I'm distracted from the story, and don't want to be distracted from my story games.
Yep.
If it's a multiplayer game, I get really focused and I get silent, so then that's not entertaining for the stream. So
Yeah.
after like a couple months, I kind of went from like, I got this, let me try to kind of do some other stuff, to like, okay, maybe games aren't it. Let me not do games. Let me just do just chatting for like an hour and just talk about kind of whatever. And then that's like the stream. And then I was like, okay, that went on for a couple weeks, and that was like kind of the most fun. But then I realized I was like, why am I trying to pull people from TikTok to Twitch when you can go live on TikTok? I'm not necessarily in it for the money. Like any sub was crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, yeah. So that was a very cool thing. And the fact that anybody like subbed or, donated bits
Yeah.
was just like, oh my gosh. And some of the messages that people leave are like, wow, that's really kind of you. But ultimately it was just like, if I'm not going to play games, and I'm not going to do, and I don't, people are very kind with, their financial donations, but like, I don't want that kind of feeling like they should. I might as well just go live on TikTok, because that's where my audience is.
Sure,
So I did
yeah.
that for a couple weeks, and then just life got crazy and I kind of stopped, and I was like, I don't miss it. So I never picked it back up again.
Live streaming
that's-
is tough. I mean, it's demanding. Live
Yeah.
streaming
Oh
is,
my
regardless of platform, right? TikTok,
Yeah.
obviously Twitch. I mean, you mentioned playing games on Twitch. It's, so many people get wrapped up into their game and they're staring at their screen, and they forget that there's X amount of people watching them, and it can
Right.
get tough, right? So live streaming, regardless of your platform that you're on, it's demanding. Knowing that there's X amount of people just staring at you and watching you, you always have this sense of like, I need to do something. Like I need to be entertaining. To
Surprisingly
present yourself.
exhausting.
I've told Pastor this many times. I really think TikTok live streaming this year will be massive. I think it's going to take a massive leap, and I think you're going to see maybe even some Twitch streamers stop streaming on Twitch and take advantage of TikTok if their audience is larger, right? Because I mean, let's be real. I have on TikTok, TikTok 11,000 followers. On Twitch, I have 3,200 followers, which is a decent balance. But I know a lot of TikTokers who have 100,000 plus followers, but they have 5,000 followers on Twitch. Like, why wouldn't you like if in my mind, I'm like, just like you said, like I'm going to leverage the fact that I have 100,000 followers on TikTok, and if I go live, immediately they're going to get notified and they're like, hey, I follow this person, I enjoy the content, I comment, I'm going to go check out their live and hang out with them. So I think TikTok live this year is going to be, I think, pretty massive, and if you have the ability to go live, utilize it.
Where's the balance for y'all? Because you guys both more heavily stream. Is it part of like is it just part of the content, or is it like a financial pillar of what you guys do, that moving from Twitch to TikTok would be like maybe a financial hit that you have to consider?
I mean, I could kind of talk about this. I have a very generous community, as Pastor has said it multiple times to me. But my community is awesome. They come through and they have a decent amount of subs, the gifted subs, the bits, and everything. So for me leaving Twitch, it's definitely would be a financial hit for me. Now, once again, I mean, it's the money I make on Twitch isn't anything like too crazy, right? It's not like life changing, but it's a chunk of money towards like, once again, I could do this, right? And so yeah, I mean, I've floated with the idea a couple times of just maybe like, for the most part, I stream three times a week on Twitch, maybe taking away one of those streams on Twitch and just doing it on TikTok. Because lately my TikTok lives have been absolutely insane. Like
the bananas.
Like I think one of them I gained 3,000 followers. Another one had 1,200 viewers at once.
Dang.
Yeah, like
it's gnarly what he does with the TikTok lives.
It's been kind of crazy. So I've been pondering with the idea of like maybe taking away a stream from Twitch and do it on TikTok, because I think if you have, once again, the audience there, but then you have your awesome community that really loves you, loves what you're about. And so they'll support you. Those kind of people, they're going to support you wherever you go. So if I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to go live on TikTok, right? And everybody kind of understands how TikTok live works. Get your community in there. They're smashing the like button. They're sharing. Like, it just goes up the algorithm. And next thing you know, it's, it's just getting pushed through millions of people's feeds. And that's where, you're going to get a lot of viewers and obviously a lot of followership. So I don't know about you, Pastor, but that's kind of been like my thought process with it.
That's
Yeah,
insane,
dude.
though.
For me, it's 100% a pillar. Now, Twitch currently, minus like a random brand deal that will come in from time to time, that is my sole source of income for this entire brand that I'm operating. And I think, and you hit this kind of on the head earlier, Liam, when you were talking about how you were streaming, but you didn't have any content behind to like back it up, and therefore you did not grow. I've
Right.
only been really creating content for a year and a half. So
Oh.
I started on Mixer, and then when that went under, I came over to Twitch. In total, this March will be 4 years of me streaming every single night, 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Dang. Okay.
So, or no, sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know my schedule, I promise.
Should
So
you be
like
live right now? Are you live?
I could be. I have no idea. But it's, for me, it's one of those things where I'm branching out to hopefully not have it be the sole way that I'm making an income from this hobby.
Sure.
Especially with the YouTube channel that just got monetized, just made partner
Yep.
with that.
Congrats, dude. By the way, I saw that.
Dude, thank you. I was
Nuts.
freaking, when I woke
Incredible.
up to it, I
So
was
good.
shaking. I was so pumped, man. It was because it was like 5 weeks, and then it was YouTube partner. I was like, this is incredible.
Nuts.
So like, all that to be said, I'm working very hard now in the idea of getting multiple revenue sources coming in at one time. So Twitch doesn't have to be the only thing.
Sure.
Because I have a lot of Alex drawers to buy and IKEA countertops that I need to get as well. So there's just, yeah, exactly.
There it is.
There's just some things that I'm looking at getting. And as of right now, like the income that's coming in from the stream is good. It allows me to do what I need to do, and allows me to get the things that I need to get when I need to get them. So the hobby 100% pays for itself at this point. And at
Nice.
this point, it's starting to figure out how more happens, right? And I think
Sure.
that comes with the YouTube channel, and very soon I'll probably have a second YouTube channel monetized at some point, and just kind of building those platforms, continuing to build TikTok, which brings in the brand deals, and I'm kind of just putting puzzle pieces together and hoping the overarching brand will really start to push forward this year. I think we got a lot of good stuff going on this year so far. So it is interesting how, with my current audience that is accruing over on my YouTube, very quickly I'm going to pass the number of YouTube subscribers that I have as Twitch subscribe or Twitch, not subscriber, but Twitch followers. Like right now I'm at 1,600 Twitch followers, and
Dang.
YouTube is at 1.2 thousand followers. And that happened in a month or so.
Right.
And then I've been streaming for 4 years. So it's like, eventually, is it smarter to engage with the audience that's rapidly growing on YouTube? Just
Right.
like you mentioned, your TikTok audience is the base of, your meat and potatoes, so to
Everything.
speak.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's like, naturally there's a progression there. The
Mhm.
longevity of YouTube is a progression. If my audience is booming on YouTube, why not at least do one stream a week on YouTube, or
Yeah.
multi-stream YouTube and Twitch or whatever? It's interesting. So there's a lot of things to take into account in that question, but I'm hoping
It's
that this year really moves some pillars around.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's some like some insane numbers, and just like that fast to partner is crazy.
I was so happy.
So
So happy
nice
about
work,
it,
dude.
dude.
Those
Congrats,
are
man.
those YouTube videos that you see where like, I made Twitch or YouTube partner in 5 weeks, and this is how.
Yeah.
Like that's your content for your other channel right there.
This
Yeah,
man
dude,
broke
that's-
YouTube. Learn how in 5 steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, real talk. I mean, and you, Liam, you know this too, because you have a lot of really great YouTube videos. But
Oh, thank you.
if you got a thumbnail and you got a good title, people are going to click on your videos. And a lot of times people don't have those two things, and therefore they don't grow at all.
Sure.
And I know I suck at making thumbnails, so I just hired somebody to do it for me. I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
please help me. And that's the channel that you're currently seeing kind of going. So
Solid.
yeah,
But do you
it's
find
been
that
super dope.
that is just awesome that has happened like so fast, and it's
Mhm.
something that like obviously you're interested in. It's not just like kind of something random. Because YouTube as a platform is so like, metrics are so high value that like,
Yes.
I mean, 100, like, 95,000 ish followers that I have right now on TikTok, 95,000 subs is, it's kind of interesting because there's lots more eyes. I feel like a lot of brands are like, oh, TikTok's got a lot going on, throw everything there.
Mhm.
But still, like matching any kind of numbers to like a YouTube channel is
Yeah.
so much stronger over there.
So
Um,
much, dude. Because you only need 86,000 subscribers to be full-time on YouTube. Like, make a full-time income on YouTube.
really, is that all it is? I
Yes.
mean, that's a lot
It's
of people, but
so
like,
it is a lot of people, but it's not as much as people think.
sure,
86,000 subscribers, I think if the number, if I remember, is like maybe and I could be way off base with this, but I'm pretty sure it's like $70,000 a year if you have
dang.
86,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Is that based on a
So
certain number of like average views per month, I would imagine, or is something else?
I all I know is the subscriber count, because someone was like, this is how much you have to go full time on YouTube to sustain yourself and possibly as your full time income, which
Gotcha.
to me, I'm like, dude, only 85 more thousand to go, dude. We're going
Right.
for it.
At
We're
this rate,
going
that's
for it.
like by the end of the year.
Yeah, who knows, dude? Who knows if things get super freaking crazy? Like, it'll be nuts. But now,
Yeah.
Liam? Are you going to continue to push? Because I didn't even ask when you're talking about it. Are you going to
Mm.
continue to push out YouTube content as well? Like, are you doing like kind of one video every so often, one video when you can? Like, what's your posting schedule over on YouTube?
There is none. It's
Rock on.
I've been I really want to make YouTube videos so much more than I can't even say that I do right now because I don't. I post like 6 YouTube videos last year, which for some people who, I mean, full time or not, get that you have more than 6 on your Elden Ring channel. Yes.
I do.
So
I do.
that
I do.
so we talk going way back to the whole like being bad enough to get to good. I feel like I'm a little bit like holding myself on like I know my TikToks. I know my TikTok style, and I'm really happy with where that is. I am I like the YouTube videos I have posted, but I'm still figuring out what I want to do there. And so
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't want to post anything until I know, but that's not what I should
Analysis
do.
by paralysis, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, so in terms of content going forward, like don't want to slash can't slash yeah, don't want to drop anything with TikTok because it's the reason why anything else would do well. And
Sure.
I still love the platform, talking with a lot of cool people there and stuff like that. And it's a very high opportunistic platform. It is a little bit not the level of how creative you can be is so much lower than on YouTube just because it's the shorter videos. There's certain things that just flat out don't work as well,
Sure.
if at all. And I very rarely get like kind of inspired by like a TikTok, like
Mhm.
there's lots of YouTube channels or just the one-off YouTube videos where I'm like, that was cool. I want to go, I want to go do something like that. And
Sure.
just long form content is
It's a beast.
it's a beast. If you can nail
Yeah.
that and you have something there, yeah, it's insane. So,
Mhm.
and I want to try to get to the point where I have like enough YouTube videos going where I don't know about necessarily like scale back quality on TikTok, but kind of use my TikTok as a little more like of a behind the scenes type thing
Mhm.
to where like,
I get that.
if it's like if I'm working on something like I just got a really weird inspiration kick to like get into like virtual production with like Unreal and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
10 TikToks around like working on that and then after 2 weeks like a 10-minute YouTube video type thing. That's kind of
Sure.
what I want to get to. I don't have the time right
Sure.
now. Would love to figure out my sleep schedule to be able to get up when I want to
Who
and then make
sleeps?
that time.
Nobody sleeps.
Who sleeps, dude?
Exactly.
What a tragedy.
Yeah.
We just talked
So
about
that's kinda
our
where it's
schedule
at.
tonight is going to be staying up all night editing.
That's true. That's true. But we are going to wind it down, Liam. So we just want to say first and foremost, thank you so much for even agreeing to come on the pod. Like, it's been such a fun
Yeah.
time to sit here and hang out and get to know you and get to know the
Appreciate the invite, y'all.
background side of the content and all that jazz, man. So it's been super dope. But per usual, any
Likewise.
guests that we have on here, man, we want people to be able to find you and figure out where you are if they want to come check you out, man. So what are your socials? Where can people find you at?
Yeah, so I feel like I gotta change stuff because it has a whole explanation. So it's Fantastic Tech is the handle, but it's Fantastic_TEK.
Okay.
So that's where it's at. It's not as like blessed. So I've been trying to work the name back to like just Fantastic Tech as it's spelled out, no underscores, no nothing like that. But right now at Fantastic_TEK on everything that I run. So it was just TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
I like it. I like it. And Dad, where can they find you, dude, per usual?
Twitch.tv/DadTheGamer, spelled GAM3R. Everything else is DadTheGamer. I'm sorry if I did not speak as much this time. I'm definitely battling over here to struggle to stay alive. I tried to hit the mute as often as I can as I'm dying over here. But how about yourself, Pastor?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you're good. You can find me at iampastorgainz on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. And then if you want to check out the Elden Ring content, it's Pastorgainz Games. And then over on Twitch at Pastorgainz. So that is going to be it for this episode, guys. Really appreciate the heck out of all of you listening and hanging out with us. So until next time, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later, guys.